right, so what's the plan on the Todd and I just had a little powwow here about what we're going to do with, because the hood is the most janky area.
Needy, I like to call it needy, politically correct way of calling it.
Right, so we have the emblem removed because we're going to have to, we're going to clear film the thing anyway, and so talk about what we were talking about. What are our choices here? Well,
I think the choices that we have on the hood in particular, because it's got some very, very deep sanding marks on it. We have the real deep scratch that we're going to have to work with. You have a couple of choices. One, go a little bit more conservative route, which would be microfiber pad, compound. We're going to get rid of most of the sanding marks, but there might be some remnants of it left here and there. Or we go the sledgehammer Surbuf route, and we're going to knock off a little bit more material, but we're going to get through it a little bit more quickly, and we know it's going to look better underneath the film.
So when you do Surbuf, we have to do 3-step?
Surbuf, we can still just do 2-step. Because I'll do this.
Perfect finish,
yellow pad. Will clear up any kind of haze that's left behind with the Surbuf.
So when you do this, like when you're doing this hood, would you leave it lifted like this? Would we put the kamikaze?
Yeah, I'll probably put the kamikaze
short one?
Yep, short one up front. That way I can clear here, because otherwise this fender dips down in quite a bit. I want to give myself.
When we end up doing the fenders, we'll lift the hood and.
Yeah, we lift the hood, and some areas we may put it back down, just depending on how flush the finish is.
Gotcha.
And then that way it'll get that looking good, and then we'll probably stick with just a regular compounding pad with microfiber and Jescar. The rest of the car compounding, followed up with yellow pad perfect finish.
Gotcha. Oh, I swear you can see the microfiber weave in the orange peel. Like if you look from this angle, like
the carbon fiber weave.
Yeah, I can see it in the orange peel.
Yep.
That's pretty neat.
Kind of like an F40. All right. So speed 4.5. Got a fresh Surbuf pad. Meguiars M100.
Now, Todd isn't going to do the whole car here. We're just using them for the spots that are most critical. How many passes are you making? 3?
Basically 2 sets left, right, 2 sets up, down.
Okay. And then, and now are you still going to have to take special care of the scratch, or you're just going to go over it like the rest of it?
Probably what I'm going to do is, as I come down in this area, I'm going to work the scratch separately. So I'm going to combine my normal section with an area that I'm working on the scratch. So a little bit of overlap there gives it a little bit more correction capability.
Now this Surbuf pad, do you need to blow it out like the other pads, or?
Yeah, you want to blow it out every now and then. Like here, we'll call this the left third, center third, right third. So I'd probably blow it out right here, and I'd probably switch it out to a fresh one halfway. So I'll go through 2 fresh pads for just the hood.
Gotcha. These are the 5-inch.
Yep, exactly. So I'll move on to this next area. See there, I worked the whole pattern. That scratch was right in the middle. I came back afterwards and kind of did that scrubbing motion right along the scratch, and then against it, try to flatten things out. After I do that whole area, I'll look at it again. I'll probably come back and do a specific spot right on the scratch just to minimize it a little bit more. And at that point, we'll call it a day.
You've removed enough paint
Yep.
to be safe.
Yep. Exactly. And then using just a little bit of product, 3 rough drops, or small pea-sized drops, about all you need for your working area.
Same pressure as like a microfiber pad?
Real similar pressures, yeah. This is pretty dense, so you can get a good amount of pressure down on it. These pads are smoother to use than with the microfiber. The microfiber grabs the surface a little bit more, moves the machine around, so it's a little bit easier to use in that regard. But they cut a lot of material.
Yeah. Now, why aren't we using 105 and 105?
105 is a great product. It dusts a lot. The new M100, I like it better teaming up with the Surbuf than I do 105, and you don't get near amount of the dust with it. So the dust doesn't really create any problems. We're still going to be rinsing this off after we do all our polishing and before we do our paint protection film. But if I can keep the work
100 is
clean.
technically more aggressive than 105, isn't it?
Yep. Definitely is.
But yeah, it's much cleaner and easier to work with. I've never been, maybe I just don't know using it right, but 105 seems to gum up my pads and dust all over the place.
Yeah, it does dust a lot. If you don't clean out your pad, like a lot, blow it out, you have a tendency to get it gummed up. It's still a fantastic product, but in terms of technologies, it's getting kind of long, so to speak. We'll still use it from time to time. It's kind of a rare occasion.
Depends on the paint, right?
Absolutely. Depends on the paint situation. And then there, you notice I didn't go back and work that scratch separately, because before,
you'd already done that.
We'd worked that with the small machine, so I don't have a need to do that. So now I'll just kind of continue on, work through these sanding marks, get this looking a lot better.
Now, if you had left 105 on the surface this long, you'd be working to get it off in comparison.
Yeah, at times it can be cumbersome. And even this, when you're dealing with a Surbuf pad and this kind of polish, sometimes it'll come off easy, sometimes it won't come off real easy. But when you're looking for a lot of cut, I'm willing to give up some of those things. You have that light on you? Thank you. Yeah, I'm easily getting the sanding marks out of it. I mean, it just provides that much more cut than the microfiber.
And then it's hazed, but we're just having a hard time seeing the haze on the white.
Yeah, you're gonna get haze. I mean, that's the downfall with that. You get the increased cut, but you get increased haze. But if you can go in with just one step afterwards with a good pad and polish combo, do it that way. We know it's going to look fantastic afterwards. And still with that heavy of a cut, because we're going to be using a polish that has a wide range to it, we don't have to have an intermediate step. If we were using like a really super fine finishing polish, we may need a mid-level in there. But why spend that much extra time polishing?
Well, because the perfect finish will diminish, right?
Yep. Yep.
And that's why it finishes down, differently.
Yep.
And now you're working like 12-inch by 12-inch areas.
Yeah, and sometimes even smaller. When we're doing compounding, if I'm dealing with really heavy defects like this, I'll bring my work area in very, very small because then the cut rate will go up on that. If I spread it out too far, I might be going back and chasing stuff that I didn't completely get. And I'm also doing a lot of overlap from one section to the next. I don't just butt up to one another. I overlap those areas because the outer area, anywhere you work, the outer area, you're going to see that cut drop off a bit. So it's why we do that 50% overlap as we're working, and we want to do a 50% overlap from one section to the next, so we don't have any areas in between those two that show up. But already looking a lot better. And typically the way I'll do it is if I do a few sections and I inspect it and I know it's working the way I want, I'll continue on and say maybe compound the whole half of the hood, then stop, take a look at it, see if I need to go back, as opposed to polishing an area, wiping, stopping and looking. I mean, it just adds a tremendous amount of time.
Right.
Sometimes you can't get away from doing that, but anytime you can, every stop that you make just increases time.
Interesting. You can see all the hairs of the Surbuf pads all over the place. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And some people, they'll want to completely tape up or put paper on all this. We're going to have to clean the glass anyways afterwards.
Yeah.
We're going to have to take it outside. It's going to have to be rinsed off. So I'm not so worried about pieces of the microfiber going, or even a little bit of dust here and there. It's part of it.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
All right, so we're going to get cranking away on this. All right, so I've been working on the hood here a little bit. I'm going to do the kamikaze hood prop here. That's the shorter one, just to keep it so that I can get all the way up to the edge without hitting the next surface. So I just finished up this section. I'm going to do this little section here and then kind of work down the middle, but I'll switch out pads. So again, we're making 4 passes, 2 each direction. I'm using about, around 20 pounds of pressure, and that's what this helps allow me to add the pressure I need to remove the defects. Let's see how we're looking here. Wow. Great. I'm sure Todd will come back and show me what I did wrong, but to me it looks pretty legit, for the compounding stage. So I'm going to swap out my Surbuf pads. And again, I've taken my belt off. Let me take my phone and wallet out of my pocket here. I'm going to be leaning over. Man, that scratch was pretty gnarly. I can still see it. Again, we've reduced it enough that the clear film is going to hopefully mask it. That's pretty good. All right, so I still have I'm going to wait for Todd on this one, but so I've hit it with the Surbuf, and right here it's almost where they hit it with a rotary polisher, and there's some pigtails or holograms right there, and they didn't come out. So we'll maybe get the paint depth gauge out again and hit that again, but that's pretty visible, under the lights anyway. It's like right here. So we'll come back and address that. Just going to hit this section here on the bottom. Looks like the vast majority of the sanding marks are coming out. So now I did that section. So we'll switch pads again. The rest of the car doesn't have quite as much. So the rest of the car is probably going to get compounded. We won't Surbuf it like this, but the hood's kind of a special case here. I don't know, I feel a lot less need to instruct on these videos here because I'm in like a place that I probably don't belong. I really like M100. It's so much cleaner to deal with. So notice I'm dealing with, as Todd mentioned, we're dealing with much smaller sections than before. I should probably just keep moving instead of worrying about wiping. When I first start polishing, it's always super fun and you want to see the results. It's after 15 hours of it that that's when I really start to try to become as efficient as possible. All right, so I'm going to keep rolling through, finish this last section of the hood, and we'll come back and talk about, finish polishing this section. All right, so I just did a prep wipe down. I might try and hit this section with some compound, see what that does to that one spot. Everything else looks pretty good. Let's try our Jescar with our microfiber.
I looked at those and driving around.
That got it. Yep. Jescar took that out. Nice. So now we got a compounded hood. So I'm going to start working on the roof with the Jescar, and we'll kind of assess what that looks like. All right, so this is like my own fly in an expert that I get to do my polishing and I get somebody to come and fix all the stuff I didn't do right. It looks perfect to me.
Well, it looks way, way better, that's for sure. I mean, a couple of areas that I'm seeing, this transition right here, which always can be a little bit more challenging. There's some remnants of sanding, particularly right around here.
So this is the spot here where I came back over with the microfiber.
Yep.
It cleared it up, but I mean, even after the Surbuf, it was still really visible.
Yeah, it just shows you how aggressive they were getting with sanding, and then didn't do any finishing steps afterwards.
So it looked like a circle from like a wool pad. Is that what that was?
No, that was the circle from sanding. So they just went and sanded with a DA sander right in that area. Okay. And then in that low area, they're really digging in with it, which is why there's so much left over right in these areas, a little bit up in here as well. So I imagine the paint right in this area is relatively flat compared to the rest because they sanded so heavy there, but then you're left with remnants of sanding marks. And likewise, we've got some stuff still on the edges that we can work on a little bit. The main mid part has got a lot more clarity than what it had before, even after just compounding.
I think, wouldn't you say, so for someone like me, you know, an amateur, I'd probably be better off working these edges with a 3-inch, wouldn't I? I'd have a better chance of getting it.
You could, you know, if you're a little hesitant to take the bigger machine towards the edge, you can come back and work it with a smaller one. But keep in mind, if we use like the LHR 75 pneumatic, that is even more aggressive than what the bigger machine is. So
because it has a 12mm orbit.
Yeah, and it's spinning.
And a 3-inch, right?
Yeah, spinning pretty fast. So if you're looking at it from a safety perspective, you're probably safer with a big machine.
Just scooping in, or
working those edging techniques that we worked on before. You know, we're just concentrating on this area right here. We're going back and forth, tilting just a little bit towards the edge, going back and forth with the edge, and then up and down against it a little bit, and then we flatten it out once again with a little bit of weight bias towards that edge, and we're not hanging way over, we're coming just right to
and
the
you
edge.
can see that because on the edge of the pad, with the overhang of the pad, when you're spinning, you can see where the red connects.
Yeah, you basically have like a solid inner circle, and then you've got the broken outer circle.
Right.
You want that solid inner circle. That's where you want to line up
right.
with the edge.
Yeah, I didn't do that with the Surbuf pad.
Yep. Which is good. I'd rather have somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of experience with that being conservative on it than going too heavy too far and causing any problems. See a pattern there?
So now on white, when we go to finish this down, I mean, how important are the edges going to be then from this point? I mean, will we notice a difference?
Well, I mean, we're going to get rid of all of that sanding stuff that's on there, and we're going to do just a regular pattern when we do finishing.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have any haze, we're not going to have any hooks. It's going to be just as clear and everything on the sides as in the middle, and we don't have to go and do anything really special with the edges during that finishing process. Get all your defects and everything out in the compounding stage. Make your finishing stage easy.
So you're marking what needs to be, what area really needs to be polished.
Yep.
Let me prime the pad here.
Not in this shop.
No priming at Esoteric, no priming allowed. All right, so what do we got? We got a dialed in hood.
Yeah, I went ahead and did polishing on it, finished polishing on it.
Oh shoot, yeah, I can see that.
Just so, you know, we've got kind of a reference to go by for the rest of it. You know, brought more clarity out and stuff as expected.
Gosh, yeah. Massive difference.
And you know, some people may think, well, you have to compound everything first and then you go back and you do all finish polishing. That's what we'll do most of the time. But sometimes if we have like a really big project, I'll break it up into sections, because otherwise you're compounding for 15 hours or so. It's just brutal on your body doing that, and then you go to finish polishing. Whereas I can compound, like I might compound a front end, and then I'll kind of back off, take a bit of a break, do finish polishing, and then I'll go on to a next area. So, you know, definitely looks a lot better, more clarity, more brilliance to the white. You know, unfortunately you can't pick that up on camera, but.
All right, yeah, there's no question in person. Looks significantly different. And so we're gonna make a time capsule here and lock it in for life, right?
Yep.
I'm putting some plastic on it. This is like your grandma's couch we're about to do to this sucker. We're gonna lock it in.
That's right. And do whatever to it at that point. You can sit on it. Or...
Yeah. You can light it on fire. You can drive it through a gravel field.
Whatever you want.
This car does look pretty sick without the wing on it.
Yeah, different looking, isn't it?
Yeah. Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.